Pall Mall, wherever particular people congregate. I learned that from an old dictionary. Came across the word Pall, and it's this puff of smoke. Yeah, smoke, a pall. That's appalling. Are you blowing smoke up my ass? And mall, a room. So, we think of the mall, this giant fucking thing, but it's just a room. It's like one of these damn antique fucking festivals on the side of the road. There's just all the shit you could ever imagine packed inside a barn. A mall. So a Pall Mall would be a smoking room. Huh. Hunky-dory. Huh. And it also says, it doesn't have it on this one, but if I remember correctly, the non-filtered roasted blend of Pall Mall, the original, it says Insigno Vicentes, which is Latin for, I may be missing one of the words in there, but I think that's Insigno Vicentes. It may be in hoc. I think it's in hoc signo Vicentes. In this sign, victory. That's a Pall Mall. But what's this? I once smoked at Pall Mall all the way back on the train Amtrak from like Chicago to wherever I was going out west. Like 4 days I just sat there and chain smoked Pall Malls. I didn't even fucking really sleep in the smoking car where they kept the windows closed. There was no ventilation at all in there. It was like they had one car for smokers and they had no ventilation system whatsoever. You couldn't open the windows, nothing. It was like, I think they're trying to punish us. But there's nothing I like better than the look on people's faces in the San Francisco airport when I'd been there and they had that aquarium where you smoke. Somebody opened the door and the smoke would just roll out of it and you go, wow, it's all these people in there just in a fucking like firefighters. Nothing I like better than look on people's faces, non-smokers, when they go walk by and go, The children and the parents are going, there must be something to it. They sure do look like they're having a good time. It releases dopamine, nicotine. Yeah. Makes you more social. That's why people on break at work, if they don't smoke, they just sit in the fucking cafeteria a lot of times by themselves, just looking at something and eating. But the smokers are outside and they're releasing dopamine into their systems, making them more sociable, and they're talking to each other. They just, a little, and not even high, just a touch of what high could be. And that place in the San Francisco airport was a Pall Mall, smoker's room. Why did I get these ones? I was up for a funeral. And was going up to see my uncle at the farm on the way out of town. And Victoria and I sat at my dad's house. It was just total emptiness. Dad's in the house. Another kind of house. My sister had just left to go back to Montana, so we just had time to sit at the house in a way we normally don't. It was just the two of us that went up for the funeral. And I just went ahead and burned out the last of my cigarettes sitting there, and my lighter was going out on the very last cigarette. I was able to make it work to light it, and it was done. So I smoked that last cigarette and we drove up to the farm. Pay extra condolences. I mean, you can't just leave somebody, not somebody that you're that close to. So we go, and I said to him, after standing there for a minute, we finished our thing. We were there for a while. On the way out, just to get me to town, I needed one cigarette. And I said, oh, would my aunt had left any cigarettes around? I know where because this is the thing. This is the thing. While I was kneeling before her, genuflecting, I tried to get in touch with her, you know. That's what church is good for. You have time to act the way you can act without anybody judging you for it. If it's about like praying or meditating or something like that. Everybody prays in their own way. Nobody knows what's going on inside. They just figure you're praying the Lord's Prayer and half the rosary if it takes too long. But I was getting, and I just had these memories flash. And that's what they were. Memories of me, you know, when I'd go up to the farm to see my uncle and her, because we were all on the same plane. She's important as he is, and he wouldn't take offense to that. One of the good ones, you know. And she'd come out when I'd pull up on the motorcycle or whatever I was in. They'd get excited on the motorcycle. You look like Peter Fonda, they'd say. I'm like, just like him. And she would say, Archie, and she'd come up and she'd give me a big hug. And she'd say, sit down, have a cigarette. These are the memories that flash through my mind. These times of me showing up there. And that meant we were about to have a good talk. You know, it happened every time, and we were always about to have a good talk. Those are the memories I had. So I said, I know she must have had a cigarette around. I should have said for me, left one for me, but it might have broke him up. He was not taking it too well. It was a shock. It was hard. And he reaches down, pulls out the one that was opened, which that's all he needed was the one to get me to town. And he reached around and he grabbed a pack of Pall menthol, which I smoke menthol every once in a while too. So I'm smoking my aunt's cigarettes right now. And there is a segue, but you'll never know it. I stopped out in the world today and had to stop and write. And I figured, you know, I can do whatever the hell I want. People just think I'm figuring something out. That's what they think when they see me. That guy's figuring something out. Look at him. Do I look like the kind of guy with a plan? So I just write shit down. And talks about Sinestra. I have written here. Sinestra. I think maybe it's spelled with an E. I'm sure it's Latin. It means left-handed. Dexterous, sinestris. There it is. Dexterous. You're good with your hands. They call it that, but dexterity means good with your hands, but dexterous means the right hand, and sinestris, that's the left hand for left-handedness. And the devil's hand, man. It's the devil's hand. My oldest brother, the one I love, the one that loves me, he's left-handed. We've got a lot of it in our family, but him in particular, I will use. He's left-handed, and they were forcing it down his throat in the Catholic school. He had to learn to be right-handed. He had to learn to be right-handed. And I watch him play baseball. He bats right-handed, throws left, and he's just, where the hell are we? But you get him on a roof, and whack, 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 whack. He's nailing shingles left-handed, and you're keeping up with, you're going, come on, man. Yeah, I mean, we don't say that, come on, man. We didn't even know we were challenging each other, but he told me once, he said, I love working with you because you push me so hard. I'm like, you? I said, yeah, you were pushing me. So both of us think we're being challenged, and we're getting the shit kicked out of us by ourselves. But he'd go from left-handed, and then my arm's starting to fucking work going, and all of a sudden, he just switches his right, and whang, 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 whang. And it's like, fuck, I had to learn to hammer left-handed, and I'm still not very proficient. But with a nail gun, that's how I learned to do it, because it was left-handed guy I was working with. His son was left-handed, and so they were running the roofing guns, pop, 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 pop. And when his son married a fucking army nurse, and they went to DC, he's like, he just turned around on the first day, he said, well, somebody's gonna need to learn to nail left-handed. And I just right away, I mean, I'm not the go-getter. That time with the therapist, she said, you look like a real go-getter. And I said, me? I said, I'm probably the laziest person you'll ever meet. I can't finish anything. They wanted me to think that I was a go-getter. That way they get into your head. They work from there. If you're going to therapy, they start out with, you look like a real go-getter. The knuckle fuckers are going to say, yeah, I got it all together. And I got plenty of plans. I haven't a plan. But no, it was just that I'd played Pac-Man with no power buttons. I like Defender. Most of the video games I played as a little kid in the arcades, where my dad said, that guy down there, he took a boy in the back room and he split his butthole in two. I guess it didn't matter much to me. I just wanted to play. Never had my butthole split in two. It's amazing. All the years ago in that fucking joint. Must not have been pretty enough. But I do believe it was Donkey Kong when the jump button was on the left. One of those games, and so I had, or on the right, I had to play left-handed, just like in a fucking car I rented in England, and it was a manual transmission. I get in the right side, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fucked up. And right away, it was very natural. I kept hitting curbs because I didn't know how far away from it I was. It threw me off on the side, but so I know that I can do things left-handed. I used to throw frisbees left-handed. It's the way I do throw a frisbee if I ever throw one, and I'm still no good. Old home videos, throwing a frisbee left-handed. There it is. There's the fucking evidence. But so yeah, we learned to do things left-handed. They call it right-handed if you're left-handed, and the way I see it, if you learn it the first way, left-handed, I'm better with a nailing gun left-handed than I am in the right. But the boss, he would always say, go get that sight. He said, I can't nail anything right-handed. He hadn't been trained to do it that way, but I learned it that way. That's all we got to do. How you learn it is the best way you do it. And if you learn, you know, Rocky had to go southpaw, right? Russell Crowe, Cinderella fucking game thing, he had to go left-handed. We can learn these things. But they call it the devil's hand. And why? I think it goes back further than what's written. I think that it's about the Neanderthals and the Downies. I think, having been in working with mentally handicapped and noticing that the left-handed were, that the Down syndrome were left-handed, I was like, and I've seen it even with people that look Downy and they're kind of close. This isn't a bad thing, it's endearing. They have a bit of the Down syndrome attitude about them, but they're not. And it doesn't matter. They're left-handed. I've only come across one Down syndrome person that wasn't left-handed, and it threw me off. It's like you're fucking up my hypothesis here. But I think that way back when the Neanderthals were still running around, and it's an inner genetic left-handedness. I think they were left-handed, the Neanderthals, by nature. That's why I think the Downies are showing a lot of those chromosomes, the Neanderthal side. And they're not stupid, they're very good at what they're doing. They lived better than I did. So there's an inner genetic breeding between the Homo sapien and whatever they call the Neanderthal. And so then suddenly, you know, they were fighting each other until we fucking finally killed them off because of technology. We tied a stick to a rock or something. I don't know what the fuck happened. But somehow they disappeared and we took over the land. You know, it was a violent fucking massacre. You don't let yourself doubt it. How did they just disappear when they've been here so long? We took and we fucking moved on them. And so when we see a left-handed person, we think immediately, oh, Downy, Neanderthal. And you see, you learn right-handed. And so it's that sort of thing. Devil's left hand, devil's left hand. And then I get to where we, down lower, I write, here's where responsibility defines us by forcing itself upon us. Responsibility. When those of us who could make a difference decide to lie low, those of us who could make a difference decide to lie low, just knowing we'll be all right, no matter which way things turn out. There are plenty of us that are accepted on both sides, and we could just sit there and go, yeah, I'll be all right, no matter which way things turn out. But how would we want it to be? That's the thing. That's where responsibility is attacking us. I'll be all right in this. I grew up farming and being fucking yelled at. I'd be a good re-educated fucking cultural revolutionist fucking off on a damn farm somewhere where they think we're all gonna die. I could still fucking grow some crops. Everything grows around Victoria and me. It's a place of love. I can grow things. But would I want it to be that way? That's where the responsibility kicks in. What are you gonna do if you're okay no matter which way things turn out. If there's something else we might like it to be, an option, even if it's not the best, that is better than the other one that you'd be all right in, think about the other people. The other people might be getting fucked. And those other people getting fucked, they're not going to make your life any easier. Everything's going to go crazy. You won't even be able to get any place because everything's fucking falling apart, even though you're doing all right. If there's some other way we want it to be, do we stand up and fight for it? We're normally told we take responsibility, but I think in this one, responsibility is here to take us. Devil's left hand, devil's left hand, devil's left